Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Tomorrow, 13th of October, is the fasting day for Param Ekadashi. We'll have the narration of the story of Param Ekadashi. Shri Yudhishthir Maharaj said, O Supreme Lord, what is the name and character of that Ekadashi that occurs during the dark fortnight, Krishna Paksha of the extra leap year month of Purushottam? Also, O Master of all the universes, what is the process for observing it properly? Kindly narrate all of this to me. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna replied, O Yudhishthir, this meritorious day is called Param Ekadashi. It bestows the great benediction of an enjoyable life and ultimate liberation, release from birth and death. The process for observing it is similar to that for observing the Ekadashi that occurs during the light part of this month of Kartik. That is to say, on this Ekadashi, one should worship me, the best of all living beings, with full love and devotion. In this connection, I will also tell you a wonderful history, just as I heard it from the great sage in the city of Kampilya. Once a very pious Brahman named Sumedha resided in the Kampilya with his wife Pavitra, and even though he begged many people for food, he could not obtain any substantial amount. He hardly had adequate food, clothing or shelter for himself and his beautiful young wife, who was of such excellent character that she continued to serve Sumedha faithfully despite their poverty. When guests would come to their home, Pavitra Mataji would give them her own food, and although she often went hungry, her beautiful lotus-like face never faded. This fasting made her weak, but her affection for Sumedha remained unbreakable. Seeing all this and lamenting his bad luck, Sumedha one day said to Pavitra, O my dear wife, most beautiful one, I beg alms from the rich but receive scarcely a scrap. What am I to do? What possible relief is there for our plight? Where should I go for relief, O most obedient and loving wife? Without enough wealth, house and affairs are never successful. Navandhu madhe dhana ahina jivanam. Therefore, please permit me to go abroad and attain some wealth. If I make such an effort, I shall certainly obtain whatever fortune I am destined to enjoy. Without making some endeavor, a person cannot satisfy his desires or meet his needs. Thus, wise men have said that enthusiastic endeavor is always auspicious. The revealed scriptures declare, Udyoginaha snigham upayati Lakshmi. Upon hearing this from her husband, as he spoke these words, Pavitra joined her palms and her eyes brimming with tears spoke to him with great respect and affection. I think there is no one greater or more learned than you, my dear, one who, though in misery, is interested in the welfare of others, speaks just as you have. However, the scriptures state that whatever wealth a person attains in his life is due to his having given charity in previous lives, and that if one has not given charity in previous lives, then even though he may sit atop a mount of gold as big as Mount Sumeru, he will still remain poor. Purva Janmarjitam Vidya Purva Janmarjitam Dhanam Purva Janmarjitam Kanya Agre Dhavatiha. Transcendental knowledge, spiritual education, satisfying wealth, and pleasing family members are acquired by a person who has given profuse charity. Whatever good a person does returns to him manifold. In Manu Niti, Manu Maharaj says, Bhagyam phalanti sarvatra na cha vidya na cha purushottam na purusham. Whatever is predestined by Vidhata, the fortune maker, will surely happen. One's so-called good education, skill, and enthusiasm will not necessarily guarantee to bring one success. Whatever charity a person gives in the form of education, money, fertile land, and the like is returned to him in a future lifetime. We gain what we have given when given with a good heart. Indeed, whatever the Lord of Destiny, the Creator, has written as one's fortune will certainly come to pass. No one attains any wealth without having given in charity in his previous life. O best of Brahmins, since we are now poor, in our previous lives neither you nor I must have given any sufficient charity to worthy persons. Therefore, O gracious husband, you should remain here with me. Without you, I cannot live even a moment. Bereft of a husband, a woman is not welcomed by her father, mother, brother, father-in-law, or any other family members. Everyone will say, you have lost your husband, you are bad luck, fortune personified. In this way, I shall be criticized severely. The Niti Shastra says, Vinashraya na tishtanti panditah vanita lata. Without proper shelter and support, the following three things cannot survive: a learned man, Brahman, a woman, and a creeper. Therefore, the modern women's liberation movement is a total failure. Furthermore, the Garuda Puran says, Pati dharma pati sargaha pati hi paramam tapa patri pritim apanne priyante sarva devata. A chaste woman always thinks that pleasing her spiritually situated husband is her heavenly pleasure, utmost duty, and greatest austerity. If her husband, sorry, we have lost it. So if her husband is pleased as Kulottama Vishnu personified, she thinks the person, the Supreme Lord, and all the demigods are pleased. The Supreme Lord includes all the devatas, the demigods. Pavitra continued, please therefore stay with me and be satisfied with whatever wealth we have. Whatever is destined we shall obtain in due course of time and enjoy here in perfect happiness. Hearing these plaintive words from his wife, Sumedha decided to remain in their native village. One day the great sage Kaundinya arrived at their place, and upon seeing him, the Brahmin Sumedha and his wife stood up before him and then offered him their respectful obeisances. With his head bowed, Sumedha welcomed him. We are very fortunate to behold you here today. O wisest of sages, my life has become successful and I am much obliged to you. Sumedha offered Kumudinya Muni a comfortable seat and highly praised his austerities and learnings. Just by having your darshan today, said Sumedha, I have become very fortunate. The poor Brahmin couple fed the sage as sumptuously as they could afford to according their means. And afterwards, Pavitra asked the mendicant, O most learned one and a fine, what process can we follow to be relieved of our poverty? How can a person who has not given anything in charity in his previous life get a good family, much wealth, and a fine education in this life? My husband wants to leave me here and go abroad and beg alms. But I have earnestly prayed to him to stay here with me. I humbly told him, due to my great fortune that you have so mercifully come here today, now we are certain to see the end of our poverty very soon. O best of the Brahmanas, please tell us how we can be free from this perpetual misery brought on by the poverty. O merciful one, kindly describe some means, a place of pilgrimage we may visit one day, fasting we may observe, or an austerity we may perform, by which all our ill fortune will end forever. Hearing this sincere supplication from the patient lady, the great sage Kaundinya reflected silently for a moment and then said, there is a fast day very near to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Hari. Fasting on this day, Sage Kaundinya reflected silently and he said, fasting on this day nullifies all kinds of sins and removes all miseries caused by poverty. This fast, which occurs during the dark part, that is the Krishna Paksha of the extra, which is the Purushottam month, or the Adhik Maas, which is going on now, in the leap year month, is known as Param Ekadashi. It is the topmost day of Lord Vishnu, hence the name Param. This extra month, Purushottam Maas, dark fortnight, Ekadashi bestows all the necessities of life, such as money and food grains, and at last gives liberation or release when the evening of the day comes. One should begin singing the glories of the Lord and dancing in ecstasy, and one should continue through the entire night. This holy fast was once observed faithfully by Lord Kuber, the treasurer of the Devas. When Lord Shiva saw how strictly he had fasted, Shiva became very pleased and made Kuber the treasurer of heaven. And also King Harishchandra fasted on this Ekadashi after his dear wife and son had been sold. Thereafter he ruled his kingdom with no further impediments. Therefore, O broad-eyed lady, you also should observe the sacred fast of Param Ekadashi, following all the appropriate rules and regulations and remaining awake all night. Sri Krishna continued, O Yudhishthir, son of Pandu, in this way Kaundinya Muni mercifully and affectionately instructed Pavitra about the Param Ekadashi fast. And following thereafter he ruled his kingdom with no further impediments. So, yes, where I was? Yes. Following all the appropriate rules and regulations, remaining awake all night, Lord Krishna continued to Yudhishthir, and in this way, the Kaundinya Muni mercifully, affectionately instructed Pavitra about the Param Ekadashi fast. Then he said to Sumedha, on the Dwadashi day, the day after Ekadashi, you should vow to observe Panchratriki fast according to all the rules and regulation. After taking a bath early in the morning, you and your good wife, along with your both parents and hers, should fast for 5 days according to your ability. Then you will all become eligible to return home to the abode of Lord Vishnu. A person who simply makes use of only one seat during these 5 days goes to the heavenly planets. Whoever feeds qualified Brahmins nicely on these 5 days has in effect fed all the demigods, all the human beings, and even all the demons. Whoever donates a pot of drinking water to twice-born Brahman during this 5-day period will gain merit equal to that gained by donating the entire planet in charity. Anyone who gives a learned person a pot filled with sesame seed resides in heaven for as many years as there are seeds in the pot. One who donates a pot filled with golden ghee will surely go to the abode of the sun god after fully enjoying the pleasures of this earthly abode. So Sumedha Brahman and his faithful wife Pavitra observed the Ekadashi fast, and there were some more merits of this fast told. So it is impossible, O Yudhishthir, to calculate the extent of merit one obtains by fasting on Param Ekadashi. For such an observance is equal to bathing in places of pilgrimages such as Pushkar Lake and the Ganges River, giving cows in charities, and performing all sorts of other religious activities. One who fasts on this day has also completed the offerings and oblations. One who fasts on this day has also completed the offering of oblations to his forefathers in Gaya. He has in effect fasted on all other auspicious days. As in the social order, the Brahmins are considered the best, as amongst four-legged creatures the cow is best, As among demigods, Lord Indradev is the best, so among all months, the extra month of leap year is the best. The Pancha Ratrika fast, the fast of 5 days, Panch is 5, Ratri is the nights, in the extra leap year month is said to remove all kinds of abominable sins, but the Pancha Ratriki fast, together with the fast of Param and Paramai Ekadashi, destroys all a person's sins. If a person is unable to fast on these days, he should observe the fast during the extra month according to his ability. A person who, having received a human birth, does not take a proper bath during this extra month and then observe these Ekadashis, which are very dear to the Lord Hari, commits suicide and suffer in the cycle of 8.4 million species. The rare human birth is meant for accumulating merit and at last achieving liberating release from this material world. Therefore, one should by all means observe fasting on this auspicious Param Ekadashi. Lord Sri Krishna concluded, O sinless Yudhishthir, as you have requested, I have described to you the wonderful merits one can attain by fasting on this Ekadashi known as Param Ekadashi. Lord Krishna concluded, O sinless Yudhishthir, you should observe this fast if at all possible. King Yudhishthir did exactly as instructed by the Lord, and so did all his brothers and their wife Draupadi. And after enjoying the pleasures rarely achieved in the material world, they returned home back to Godhead. Whoever, after taking a proper bath, observes a fast on these 2 extra month Ekadashis will go to heaven and finally attain to the abode of Sri Vishnu. And as he travels there, he will be praised and prayed to by all the demigods. Thus ends the narration of the glories of Param Ekadashi, the Ekadashi that occurs during the dark fortnight of the extra leap year month from the Skanda Puran. So tomorrow is the Param Ekadashi. Wish you all a very happy Ekadashi. Those of you who are observing, you know that you have to refrain from the grains and sweet corn, and please check with your local temples the opening of the fast on the following day, and wish you all a very happy Ekadashi tomorrow. Hare Krishna.